Bound for Glory goes down live this Sunday exclusively on pay-per-view and in the main event. The World Championship hangs in the balance. It's EC3 challenging Lashley for the richest prize in our sport. The World Tag Team titles are also on the line in the Great War. Decay defend their championships against the Hardys. The Knockouts title also on the line as Gail Kim looks to become a 6-time Knockouts champion against Maria. Also, Gail will be inducted into the prestigious TNA Hall of Fame. One man will earn a future world title opportunity. It's Bound for Gold and Bound for Glory. And someone, either Drew Galloway or Aaron Rex, will make history. Which man will go on to become the first ever Impact Grand Champion? For the first time ever, the Miracle Mike Bennett goes one-on-one with his former best friend, Moose. And the highly anticipated debut of Cody as he steps foot inside the Impact Zone for the first time in his career. It's Bound for Glory. It's Sunday, exclusively on pay-per-view, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific, from the Impact Zone in Orlando.
Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome back once again to the King of the Mountain podcast. BQ here, along with Will and Kyle, your ear candy for the evening. What is up, fellas? First of all, Will, what is up, man?
Well, I'm sitting here wearing all black.
All black A thing?
What'd you say, bro?
Nothing. Something I wish I didn't say.
I'm ready for Bound for Glory. I got on my all black, ready for the Great War.
You ready for the Great War too, Kyle?
Oh, the Great War. I've been having premonitions about Bound for Glory. I can't wait. This is the best pay-per-view of the year. I get way more excited for Bound for Glory than I do WrestleMania. That's a fact. I can't wait. Sunday couldn't come soon enough, and I know you guys can agree with me. Nobody gets a better experience than BQ. I mean, you get to watch the pay-per-view and then go to the tapings the very next night.
Hell yeah,
BQ's going to be up in the Impact Zone representing King of the Mountain.
Hell yeah, I'm jazzed as hell for it, too.
Dude, you know what you should do, BQ? I got an idea, BQ. BQ, I got an idea.
What's up?
You should print out some little flyers and hand them around the Impact Zone. You should hand out some King of the Mountain flyers at the Impact Zone. Leave them on some seats.
I was gonna do business cards, but I changed my mind at the last minute. I'm not much of a hustler, man. I don't like walking up to random ass people, and it's just not my style.
No, I totally get it. You know, I'm just saying, bring in some more TNA heads, but we will reach them. We will get there. We're growing. Our growth has been very well. We're progressing and moving.
Before we talk about Impact, big elephant in the room all week regarding the sale of TNA. Is Bound for Glory going to happen? Are the tapings going to happen? And right before we got on the air, Dixie Carter did tweet out, looking forward. And she has been, now Dixie has not said shit this whole time other than acting like nothing's going on Twitter. But she did tweet out something along the lines of looking forward to making an announcement. We have the best fans in the world. Have a good show tonight. So, sounds positive. Hopefully, like Kyle said over text, hopefully it's positive for the fans, not just positive for her.
Not positive for her bank account.
Yeah, that's what it was.
We love TNA, and we don't want our TNA to go anywhere.
I don't give a darn about Dixie's bank account. She can go to Ma and Pa Carter, who I understand why they divested their interest years ago, but mommy and daddy, because she's a daddy's girl, we know, is not going to let his little Tennessee flower go broke. So she will be all right. My concern is for the state of professional wrestling, because I look at WWE as a gigantic STD in the world of wrestling. And we need to keep TNA needs to survive. And I like to say, first off, BQ, my intrepid co-host, you sound like you need to lay on the black couch, because you sound like you headed towards therapy. I have never heard you this depressed before. You weren't this depressed when the Clippers got knocked out the playoffs.
I also went through like 25 years of the Clippers being in last place every season, so No, man, I have been. It is a little bit depressing because you hear. I don't know. I guess it's because Corgan keeps doing these interviews, and you're like waiting for him to say something to like make you feel better, and then he doesn't do it. Which I've stated what I think. I think he's playing hardball. Not hardball, but he's being so transparent and so honest that I think he's doing it to force Dixie's hand a little bit because he's already said, "Hey, I bailed the company out of the last 3. We don't know where the money's coming from for the 4th one, dude. If he wants to bail him out of this one, he will. But at the same time, he wants to feel like he's going to get something out of it. He's not going to keep doing it just to do it and get taken advantage of. So I think I know where he's going with this. I think he's...
Well, first off, TNA owes him money. He's owed money. Smart money is if it's about her trying to get a profit. Well, we already owe him. He owns part, but we owe him money. So let's take what I would say I'm certain that this will happen, but you never know with Dixie Carter. We'll take this up. This is my asking price. We'll take X amount off that you've already put in, and we'll just sell it to you. But bro, like I said, I've never seen you sound so down, and I have because I've had a couple of nights and people. Yes, I had some sleepless nights about this because you do not put together a podcast that is organizational specific like we have, and then you definitely under duress when you come to realization that you've watched the product for years, you do a podcast, built up a fan base, and then the product goes away. I don't want to have to cover WWE involuntarily. I don't want to go ahead and do that. I'd rather shave my pubic hair with a rusty razor than have to be forced to cover WWE and come back and report it to you all. I don't want to do that. And the thing with Corgan and TNA is that you understand something. Now, BQ, you are not probably. I've been watching this company since I was one of the guys that was paying $10 a week to watch it on pay-per-view. I go that far back. I go back far enough when Eric Watts had a push. Let that just rattle around in your brain for a second. Eric effing Watts. That's how far back I go to watching this product. You've gone through all of this. Dixie, I'm mad because Dixie could have and should have sold years ago, but it was always something. And so the best year that TNA has had in forever, 2016 has been a year that they have shown they can once again be a threat to Vince McMahon, and they can give wrestlers what they want. And they realize that as momentous a year as this has been, it can be gone down the toilet and a pay-per-view not air. It makes me want to shed a tiny man tear. It makes me want to fly to Tennessee and go to TNA Impact, heck, whatever they call themselves, and go cuss somebody out. And I don't even use profanity. It makes you not want to have sex. That's what it makes you want to do. I'm not getting lucky until this whole thing is resolved.
All the people on Twitter that are wishing like TNA goes down, you just dummy, yeah. You deserve to get the dummy button hit on you multiple times. Yeah. Because it's crazy. Because how can you be a fan of professional wrestling and wish that a company goes under and a bunch of great wrestlers lose their jobs? I mean, it would be so bad for the world of professional wrestling if TNA got acquired by the WWE and Vince put them out of business. That would be the worst possible thing. We've seen it before with WCW, and everybody knows what happened to professional wrestling after that happened as a result, just like everyone said they would. Professional wrestling starting to get good again in 2016. Are we going to repeat history and knock TNA down the same way WCW and ECW were taken down? It's hard for us, we don't sugarcoat anything here on this podcast. We're honest with our fans. There's a lot going on right now, but as TNA fans, all we can do is, stay positive, continue to support the product, make sure you get Bound for Glory this weekend, and, just hope that Billy Corgan is able to, get everything together at the last minute because we really need him right now.
I feel like it really says some negative things about society when someone can wish so many good men and women on the camera, behind the scenes, can wish them out of a job so that they selfishly can get maybe Matt Hardy versus Bray Wyatt. So for their own selfish needs, because they want to see.
It's sickening.
It is. So because we want to see this guy on our show that we watch. We don't give a shit about the dozens and dozens of people that'll lose work. I mean, it's actually sick. It's that's part of the thing that's so depressing for me. Like I just can't believe that we live in a world like that.
Absolutely, BQ. You know, it's crazy because TNA in the past 2 years has made me really love wrestling again, but at the same time, it's made me hate wrestling fans because I just don't understand how you can consider yourself a fan of professional wrestling but wish bad against the professional wrestling company with a ton of great professional wrestlers in it, with a great television show every week. I'll never understand.
I mean, I'm to the point I freaking hate WWE now. And this, I mean, 4 months ago I didn't, but I little by little dislike it more and more and more. But I would never wish ill. And, there's times I'm going to point out, hey, this is something they do that sucks. And TNA does a lot better than them. I'm going to point that stuff out all the time, but I'm not going to go out of my way to a WWE forum and start talking shit. But they seem to do that to TNA fans and the TNA sites and TNA pages and forums. Like, how miserable of a life do you live to go out of your way like that?
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you something that I kind of look at the WWE kind of like going to the Marvel universe, being kind of like Galactus, to where Galactus always eats planets, and you don't think about the collateral damage. And so here's what's happening when you look at the state of professional wrestling, and I know we'll get to the show, of course, but it's every now and then you got to break from format and talk about just be real with the people and with one another. Okay, so you look at this year, we had a brand split and we've gotten crappy pay-per-views. They have been crappy. The show that's supposed to be the B show is actually performing like the A show, and people are complaining. And so many people complain about WWE, and yet TNA has a superior product. And people still want to complain. With some people, you can't make happy. If you have to hang with a brand new rope, they'll still complain. The outcome's going to be the same, but complain anyway. And so we have all this good action coming on. Thursday's pretty good show. You're getting better. Impact show, I'd go on record to say, is probably better quality-wise than Raw. BQ, how many people have we had before our buddy Kyle joined the podcast? How many times did we see on YouTube, Twitter, other places, phone conversations, text messages, how many people you've had come to you and say, I never thought to look at TNA. Thank you for informing me. I like this. This is better than what I've been getting. How many times you've heard that this year?
Yeah, several times, absolutely.
I still hear that. I still get people that call me up. It's a buddy that loves wrestling. I know people that work in sports journalism, and we talk about things. Unfortunately, he doesn't have anything. He's not able to tell me anything. He doesn't know anything about the situation. But all of this is going on, and I keep thinking, Kyle, you mentioned earlier about ECW, WCW going under. I'm going to take it back a step further. I remember when the USWA folded. And you might be wondering why I mentioned them. They were a feeder system to the WWF at the time. And it seems that whenever they want to, it's almost, and so now, just the way they're hovering around, which is kind of arrogant, they're not aggressively going at it after the TNA library. They want to see if this thing's going to work out. They made a lowball offer as reported. They're probably going to, they're circling like buzzards and figure we're going to come in and we're going to get the library at a much lower price when they're desperate. Because if they were to go ahead and purchase the company, which I hope doesn't happen, if they were, what do you think is going to happen to Lashley? I know they used to be high on Lashley, but something happened. You're not going to have Lashley be booked properly. He may go somewhere else, and there are not too many places where he can go to Japan. I don't see him in Ring of Honor, but he's going to EC3. EC3 was released. I don't think he asked for his release either. He was released. There are so many guys on the roster that they just didn't see. Moose, do you honestly think Moose is going to... He could have signed with WWE. and was reported as to having signed with them, only to find out, well, as we saw tonight, he's on TNA. Cody Rhodes, if they're ever going to get him long term, they can't buy a Brandy Rhodes signed. All this talent that they have misused, overlooked, discarded. Realize, if this thing happens, we are never going to see them on TV, some of these people on TV again.
Dummy, yeah.
Well, knockouts, well, most of them have more talent. Okay, most of them have more talent than a lot of the people in the women's division, not ladies and women's division. You're not going to see too many of them. They're going to go ahead and they're going to just eviscerate that division. And long term, for those of you that have children out here and you want to share the joys of professional wrestling, Vince already has a semi-monopoly. He has a complete monopoly on major TV. 10 years from now, your kids won't have professional wrestlers to talk about. Because I believe if this happens, here's what happens to professional wrestling in general. And I've talked about this with other people. You want to see what's going on in wrestling. TNA needs to survive. And actually, WWE needs to feel threatened by somebody. And I think their contract with Universal NBC is up in a couple years. If they were to go and get TNA and Vince doesn't do anything creatively, you're probably going to end up seeing NBC Universal not even renew that deal, which means wrestling in general is gone off of TV. So imagine having to get any wrestling period, having to go to YouTube or the Fight TV app, which is great, but that may be the only source. That's just how serious this is. And this is a Thursday we're recording this. We'll know something within 24 to 48 hours. I'm in the worst possible doomsday scenario for wrestling is here.
It really is. And you mentioned we may not see a lot of these people on television again. We won't see 90% of these people on television again. If they do buy out the company, they'll grab a few people, but it's not going to be very many. I think some will say, hey, I'm going to try to make a living on the indies, which some will, and then some are just going to stop wrestling, I bet. With one less place to work, one less, it's... the numbers are just against you. So... I think we should know something by tomorrow. I think we have to know something by tomorrow. It's the work week. We have to. Something has to be announced. I mean, Dixie said looking forward to a big announcement. I'd laugh because a website had said if that's not a TNA statement, I don't know what is. Because how many times has Dixie been like big announcement coming, and then it's like. We just picked up ATT Universal for Pop TV,
That's not an insult. That is just a fact of life.
You're loving that dummy button. I was trying to look it up on a Google Play. I don't see it.
You have, for some reason, when you type in dummy button, it doesn't come up. But if you type in Sean Ricker, his real name, it pops up instantly.
That's not an insult. Let me talk to you. Yeah, when I say dummy, let me talk to you. Don't get lost in the sauce.
I know, BQ, you're saying that you think Billy's playing hardball with Dixie because of actually elaborate on that. What did you mean by you think that he's playing hardball?
Because if he wants to bail him out again for a fourth time to make sure Bound for Glory happens, these tapings happen, he'll do it. He's gonna do it. He's done it 3 times already, and now's the biggest moment of the year, biggest time of the year. So why would he do it again? Well, he made a comment. I don't know exactly what he was saying. I mean, exactly what he said, but it was along the lines of people are not going to keep, by people, he's probably talking about himself. People are not going to keep bailing us out if they're not getting anything out of it. I think he's feeling a little used. It's like he's the well that they go to when they need the funding. Dixie has not stepped up one time, and Dixie has money, has not stepped up one time and be like, you know what, I'm going to knock this out.
Well, you know what, BQ and Kyle, that's interesting how I'm sure Dixie in the past, she's done, I give her credit, I'm sure she's done things in the past to save the company. The company wouldn't be around with some of her efforts. I acknowledge that. And we as fans appreciate that. But also, She has really had a lot of mess of screw ups. Not your average regular screw ups. I'm talking about your big 24 karat F ups. And she's being a real twat about things, from what I understand, with the whole sell of TNA. Let it go. I don't know if she's trying to negotiate something, because we've heard this rumor to where she wanted to do something to where she's going to be on air. Now, look, I don't mind having her appear on TV, not as a character, once in a while, and make an announcement or something. I mean, for a chick in her late 40s, early 50s, whatever, she looked pretty good. I like to look at her. So I don't mind seeing her for that purpose, but I don't need to hear her talk. The only thing I need her to do right now is sell. Yes, she has money. Go talk to her parents. Hey, you know that wrestling thing you invested in, and the two guys, Hogan and Bischoff, that blew millions of your dollars? Yeah, I really need to make a go of this. Can you give me a loan and I try to make it back? I try to pay it back later. She has the money. I don't know if she's done that. There was something I read today to where at the last set of tapings that they were cutting and signing checks that were long overdue there. And my thing is, it makes you want to go ahead and just it makes you scratch your head like, how does this stuff get out? So a source of mine told me that they discovered that they have someone backstage, one of the boys is talking to the dirt sheets. And I guess that goes to the old saying, telephone, telegraph, or telewrestler.
Telemundo.
Or Telemundo. Exactly. But how does that... So I get really concerned when I hear about talent talking to people. And I'm like, well, do you know who it is? Because we here at King of the Mountain Podcast, of course, we got sources. And this person, like, I don't know. I couldn't get that deep in, but somebody's talking to, like, I heard from somebody who heard from somebody else, one of the boys is talking to one of the websites. And I wouldn't even normally mention this on air, but that sounds credible. This person I trust, when I hear that, and I'm like, yeah, that does sound credible.
Like when last night it was reported about the flights being canceled, matches getting canceled, that came from a talent. That's what a website said. That's what Wrestling Inc. said.
Well, you're going to see the pay-per-view. You canceling your flight?
Well, I'm driving, but I haven't canceled my hotel or anything. I'm going to Orlando regardless. I'm either watching Bound for Glory or I'm spending time with my family in Orlando.
Wait a minute. Kyle already paid for the pay-per-view. Kyle, well, I hope you don't get a refund.
I got the pay-per-view pre-ordered on my TV.
As a surprise, mentioned that there's rumored to be some sort of an MMA organization. I'm thinking, really? Why would they want to? But you know what? There's so many parallels between MMA and wrestling. I could kind of see that. I tell you, it's funny when your sources end up calling you. And that's what happened this week. We know you're going on the air. Hey, this might happen. Say this. You can talk about this, but don't mention that. And so, I know the tone of the podcast is a little bit unusual this week for the fans. For our fans, we're just we're reporting the news, and we're really expressing our disappointment, sorrow, potential grief. BQ sounds like he's about to check into therapy. Kyle's over there, who's normally very loquacious and animated. Kyle's toned down. Maybe I don't know if he had taken some Xanax or something. He went to the doctor. I'm at terminal pistosity right now. I don't think I've been this angry. Since the Bulls missed the playoffs.
We're bummed out. You know, it's stressful, but I hope, guys, we get led to the promised land and everything works out. I got faith in Billy. I got that gut feeling. I think TNA's been in this scenario before and they pulled through. Yeah. Why won't they do it again? Let's hope. Stay positive.
I say we all pray and take a vow of celibacy until the company gets sold or something.
Let's talk about something positive, though. Let's get into Impact tonight because this was a good show. All right, so tonight's episode had a lot of things that I really liked, and it had a few things that I didn't particularly care for. But JB kicks off the show. He's inside the ring, and he introduces EC3 and Lashley. And they're introducing their teams for the main event, for the 4-on-4. I didn't really like the way that they did it.
Allow me the pleasure of introducing you to Blade. Laser.
I'm sure, Kyle, you've seen some old Survivor Series matches, and Will and I are around the same age, so we grew up with Survivor Series 1, 2, 3, 4, and in some of those early Survivor Series matches, they came across as if the captain really did choose his team based on who he wanted on his team. And then over the years, it became, okay, the two captains are enemies. Their right-hand man on the team, they're enemies. And the other two are feuding with the other two. And it just wasn't... It was just like a bunch of enemies feuding with each other as opposed to maybe coming across more like a random draft. So with teams tonight, that's exactly what it was. Lashley's first name was Drew Galloway, who he just had a damn blood feud with. And all of a sudden he's just like, Drew Galloway, it's his number one pick. And EC3 just so happens to have Aaron Rex on his team. And then there's Mike Bennett, and EC3 just so happens to have Moose. I thought the whole thing was a little corny the way that they did it. I didn't really particularly care for it. And then they brought the knockouts into this, and I'm going to go off on this later. But, Will, what did you think about the opening segment? Do you agree with me in any way that this came across kind of corny? Was it necessary? Could they have done something different? What are you thinking about the top of the show?
I think the top of the show, that segment, they were trying to, I think it was lazy on creator's part. They were trying to fill up the 2 hours. That's what I think. If you wanted to have a match like this, knowing how it was going to go, when I first heard like Galloway, I thought about that. Like, wait a minute, didn't he just submit him in a pay-per-view in the last big match they had? Wait a minute, Moose and Bennett get into it. It was very formulaic. So I figured that they were going. You could have just. Why not just? They'd have been better off just putting these people in a tag match, or it was a specialty match anyway, and just say, hey, this is what we got tonight, and we just gonna try to kill the other people. You could have sold the story that way, but don't try to sell me. Don't treat me like I'm some sort of schlep and you're a con man. You knew who was going to pick who. You knew who was going to pick whom. So there was no mystery about it. Don't play the game with me. It's kind of like you're on a date and you pay for dinner and you've done everything right, but a gentleman, you hope you score later, but don't. There's no payoff.
It's like they just so happen to take the 4 top matches from Bound for Glory and combine them into one match.
They did a WWE move.
That's exactly how they book before their pay-per-views.
Yeah, I guess you guys are right. It was a little lazy. They did it classic gym class style, but they were pretty predictable picks, I guess you could say. It didn't bother me too much. I didn't mind it. I guess, like Will said, it's like taking her out for a date and not scoring, unless you're Bill Cosby, but that's a different discussion for another time.
So, how did you know who was going to play the role of Rudy?
Flippity-dippity, woo! Some Jell-O pudding pop.
All right, so after that, well, actually, Lashley said a line.
That was pretty dark. I probably shouldn't have said that.
It's okay. I dig the humor. A Cosby joke at this point is okay. Lashley said something I kind of liked, and he said, "There's not a person to this day that could hurt you." And I kind of like the way he delivered that, saying you've had a bunch of opponents, you've beat a lot of people, but no one's ever been able to hurt you. And that's what I do. EC3 at the end of this challenges Lashley to step in the ring first on the lethal lockdown instead of it being random. So I like that. Then we get the X Division title match. Eddie Edwards versus DJZ. I have here in my notes, great match. Back and forth like baby faces should. And it started off with some friendly competition, some chain wrestling, and then it built up into some more high impact moves, more desperation moves. Lots of reversals, and that's where I think the X Division can really shine. It's kind of something New Japan does a little bit, where there's a lot of reversals. And I thought the match was just really crisp, really well, and really done well. And I thought it's what the X Division has needed this whole time. And the match eventually ended. I really liked the way that it ended. Eddie was going for the Boston Knee Party, and it was reversed into a ZDT, and DJZ got the win. You guys heard me say on the last couple shows that some ass clown was posting all the spoilers on Twitter, posting all the pictures. I don't have a problem with people posting pictures from the tapings, but don't post pictures with people holding the titles. And I knew what was going to happen with this match already. I've known everything with this whole set of tapings just off of one night of Twitter, and that bothered me quite a bit. However, great match, but this ended the way that we expected, the way we thought it might, where the Helms Dynasty came, ruined the match after. Not to ruin the match, but ruin the moment. And we were worried that we were going to get the same exact match from Slammiversary. Are we getting that match? Because they didn't even say anything. We didn't get an X Division match for Slammiversary tonight.
This is what is so perplexing at times. I like being surprised. And one thing that TNA has done well this year is blur the lines of reality and art, and to not be so predictable. Well, this is unpredictability in a negative way. We knew Helms Dynasty would come out strike one. They did everything. They ruined a great match. Well, they didn't ruin a great match, but the outcome, we expected that. Okay, I can kind of live with that. No setup for the X Division. It's kind of like almost death by 1,000 cuts. Are they intentionally trying to murderize the X Division? Because, when we did the Super podcast, we were like, well, maybe it'll be these two on the pay-per-view. I thought we would see this match on the pay-per-view. There's nothing. Trevor Lee, Andrew Everett, and Everett. I love the Helms Dynasty, and I think I like Everett better than I do Lee. And I love Lee. I don't like his ring attire, but I love his ability. You have so much there between these four guys. You could do something. There's nothing to advance the story. So even if you, by some chance on Twitter, announce an X Division match, why am I going to invest myself emotionally? Why do I care when I just saw it the episode Thursday night and you did nothing to advance the story? I'm not emotionally invested, and that's when I go to the bathroom if I bought the pay-per-view, because I don't care, because you told me not to care.
Kyle, do you feel like they go to the Eddie Edwards well too many times when it comes to the X Division? Is he like the EC3?
I just feel like a broken record, because every episode, we mention the negative side of the X Division and how it's not getting its fair due. And TNA is definitely in a transitional period. We're going to see them definitely go in a different direction post Bound for Glory. So I'm hoping that the X Division gets brought to the forefront and gets, revitalized and rejuvenated. And because, like I said so many times, the X Division is what brought TNA to the dance. Without the X Division, you don't have TNA. And, I've just said it so many times, and, I feel like a broken record. I think TNA really needs to get on the ball with the X Division.
Speaking of broken record, Kyle, do you feel like they go to the Eddie Edwards well too many times when it comes to the X Division? Because there are so many guys. We want to see Mark Andrews get a legit one-on-one shot. We want to see Andrew Everett get a legit one-on-one shot. Are they going to Eddie Edwards well too many times?
I think it's repetitive. I've seen Eddie Edwards in that position too many times in the program. It's just there's other guys. Mark Andrews, God bless him. He's never on the show, and he deserves to be, because he's one of the best high flyers in professional wrestling. I don't want to see these guys get these quick, 9-minute matches on TV once a week. I want to see, like, Trevor Lee versus DJZ in a 2 out of 3 falls match. I want to see them go for a good half hour of the program. You got great wrestlers, and you see what's going on in the landscape of professional wrestling with the Cruiserweight Classic and all that other stuff. So TNA, they need to compete, and they have this X Division, which has the potential to be greater than anything else in the whole landscape of pro wrestling when it comes to that hard-hitting, high-flying, nowadays it's evolved into you got like some technical stuff in there, like think like a Dean Malenko type style, what you're seeing over in the CWC. And TNA's got those guys, and they can do it. It's just somebody needs to direct them, someone needs to lead and put them in that direction, and we got to hope that man is Billy Corgan.
This is the second week in a row that Eddie Edwards had a phenomenal match. But he just finished several weeks ago having a couple matches with Lashley. He was in the Grand Championship tournament. So it's almost like he's stepping backwards. He was in the world title picture, then the Grand Championship picture, and now right back down to the X Division. He should have stayed at a higher level where he was at. So he's getting lost in the sauce a little bit. After this, we got a segment that I enjoyed because it made me laugh. And it was Allie and Maria backstage.
Wait a minute, 1 second, BQ. Just a quick thought about that. Since you raised the question about does TNA go to the Eddie Edwards well way too often, I would say yes. But I would say yes and no. Yes, they do, but he's in the wrong position. If you're going to go to the Eddie Edwards well to have a good match for the X Division, he had the title. You could have left the belt on him, have him be your champion, give him a long reign, and then you can go to that well as often as you want to pull out a great match. And you could have elevated that division. It remains to be seen if DJZ is going to elevate the X Division. But if you keep using Eddie Edwards that way, why not put a belt on him and have him keep it?
You got a point. If he's going to constantly be the one in the match that they keep booking, might as well throw the strap on him if he's going to be the constant. Definitely see where you're going with it. So we get Allie and Maria backstage. Maria continues to berate her, call her stupid. Allie's just really falling into this role. She's probably getting sympathy better than anybody in professional wrestling right now.
Sorry, Miss Maria.
Laurel Van Ness comes in. We haven't heard her speak yet, but we see they're already telling a story. She's pompous. She's a bitch. She's privileged. She did the kiss thing. Did the kiss on the cheek thing with Maria. Did you guys catch? This really made me laugh. That she walks up, she does a double kiss on the cheek thing with Maria, and then Allie starts puckering her lips like she's gonna get it too, and then she just kind of like backs off when she sees she wasn't. Did you guys catch that?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, it's so funny, dude. Yeah, she's so great.
Hilarious. Laurel Van Ness actually is pretty freaking tall. I've seen her wrestle 100 times. I didn't. She's a pretty tall girl. I'm gonna get into my thoughts on her a little bit later when we get into the match. We get a little sit down with Bennett and Moose.
What is she, like 5'10", 5'11"?
That's a huge bitch.
She's probably 5'10". We get a sit down segment with Josh Matthews, Mike Bennett, and Moose. So this was a nice touch. They weren't saying anything too impressive. It was nice. It was there. It worked. And then Bennett hit me with a look me in the eyes, and Moose all of a sudden got very, very serious. Moose is a pretty good talker. He does impress me talking. And I don't know if you guys caught this. They're standing eye to eye in the middle of the ring, and then Josh Matthews is just like a goof, just like backing off. I don't know if you just saw his mannerisms, but I think that's one of the reasons people don't like him. It's
I don't know why. A goofball.
I don't know why announcers have to play this nerdy ass role, because he's not like that in real life.
Yeah, he definitely comes across as a geek. Yeah, he's a cool guy. Like we put over his radio show a million times because we generally, genuinely liked the show. He's not bad.
Yeah, he's a guy that can handle himself. Josh Matthews is a pretty well put together guy. He's not someone that you just want to walk up to and pick a fight with in real life. I mean, Michael Cole, yeah. I mean, I just want to go ahead and use what I know of martial arts on Michael Cole. Josh Matthews, you want to think twice. So he doesn't need to do that. I got to agree with y'all on that one.
We get Madison Rayne versus Laurel Van Ness. I like LVN's music. I thought that was very fitting for her. It's very heelish. So she comes down to the ring and she's got Allie with her. Maria let her know that she has to announce her. So Allie announced Laurel Van Ness. And this was a really good match with Madison Rayne.
Hi, Madison Rayne.
This is the best Madison has looked in a while. ever since she got out of the beautiful people thing and got away from Velvet Sky, and has had a few singles matches since then. She's been looking pretty crisp in the ring. And on a side note, it blows my mind how much weight she has lost. On Twitter, on Women Crush Wednesdays and stuff, people were always posting Madison Rayne pictures, and she was so much thicker back then. I say back then, a year ago, 2 years ago, she has lost a lot of weight. That's just my thoughts real quick on that. The match, however, I really enjoyed. I thought this was a good women's match. And Laurel can go. Again, I've seen her wrestle on Shine. I've seen some of her independent stuff. She's pretty good in the ring. She's a pretty quick learner. I was impressed that she ended up winning this match with a curb stomp. Kyle, what were your thoughts when you saw the curb stomp?
Oh man, that was sick. That I definitely popped for the curb stomp. Definitely.
This is a move that is banned, or at least is rumored to be banned in WWE.
I think that rumor's been confirmed. I don't know who got hurt from it, but that's a move to where...
That's the one move Rollins didn't hurt someone with.
I like the move. It's one of those moves. Well, yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. I'm thinking about the rash of shoulder injuries he's caused. But the curb stomp, that's a move. I was surprised to see it. Surprised to see a woman do the move. But that's one of those moves right there, as we like to talk about on the show. Impact moves or some quick hit moves that you can land at any moment that always can keep you in the match. And that's one of them. And maybe they will go ahead and build something around that particular finisher. Because I think that finisher, that personality, that move, whether she's a heel or face, we know she's a heel right now, is something that fans will rally around. Because fans like that move.
Right, and it's funny that we see the curb stomp, Drew Galloway starting to use the pile driver. We're seeing moves on Impact that are banned in WWE, so I think that's really, really interesting. I think Laurel is a great heel. She's shown some great heel work so far. Very believable coming down to the ring with her facial expressions. She's putting down Allie just like... She hasn't done it verbally a whole lot so far because we haven't really heard her speak, but she's putting Allie down. She's really cut from the same cloth as Maria is. I was just impressed this match. I just kept thinking, what a great heel.
Yes, but she's better in the ring than Maria. That's the only thing, is that she same mannerisms, but she's slightly more polished in the ring than Maria.
And she's probably been wrestling a fraction of the time. I enjoyed when she rolled out of the ring and she made Allie apply the brush to her. I don't know shit about makeup. I don't even know what to call what it was she was doing. But I popped for it just because I was entertained. I thought it was funny. Kyle, you got any thoughts on his women's match before we move on?
Oh, no, you guys covered it well. Let's move forward.
We get Team Lashley backstage. I like this because Lashley promised a title match to anyone who took EC3 out. So these are little things that we have to see sometimes because it helps with making an angle make sense. Why would these guys want to be on Lashley's team? Why would they volunteer to be in a cage with him? So it's these little things that doesn't insult the viewer's intelligence. After that, we got an in-ring segment. And again, this is another thing I saw on Twitter, spoiled. I knew what this final match was for a while now. Galloway's in the ring, calls out Aaron Rex. I'm going to let you talk first this time, Kyle.
Are you done?
Your thoughts on the mic work of Drew Galloway.
Teddy Long.
Him in this heel role is really working for me.
I've said it since day one. I just don't think he was getting over with the American fans as a babyface, and he had to dig into that heel role that he's pulling off in the United Kingdom and in places like Evolve and bring it over to TNA. And slowly but surely, we've seen him transition into this new, darker Drew Galloway character, and he's way better on the microphone. I'm enjoying him in his position in Impact Wrestling a lot more now than I was. So yeah, a lot of rumors are going around that he might be injured and might not be at Bound for Glory. So I'm a little nervous in that because, this obviously was going to be one of the best matches in the pay-per-view, no doubt about it. And now we potentially might not get this match. And I hope that it does happen, and if it doesn't, I hope TNA is able to pull something off good to replace it.
I'm definitely a little bit concerned from what I've been hearing, what we've been hearing, that this match doesn't happen in Bound for Glory. And I think there's been some rumors about canceled flights and canceled matches, and it's all how people spin the information they receive, but it is possible that there's been some rumblings about this match being canceled, which turned into, they canceled half the matches and da-da-da-da.
That's what concerns me, is that, as Kyle just alluded to, he's injured and may not be a match. His heel work, he's definitely better as a heel than he is a face. Galloway he's good at he does what heel's supposed to do. He's great at pissing people off. And when you think about his career years ago, prior to him being with TNA, I believe that this is what the powers at be envisioned in him. And you're seeing this now, to where he's going to get to the point to where him having a title doesn't even matter, because he is just going to be that hated by fans. That's a guy that he should no doubt be a career heel. He is just that good at what he does. And when he seems to be more into it in his promos as a heel. He's not giving the canned stuff that, all baby faces come out there. It's like he's not out there trying to shake hands and kiss babies, especially the ugly ones and whatever. He's just going about what he does on the indie circuit, and he's seeming like he's really tapped into that. So I love it. Please don't have him switch anytime soon. We don't need that. I think wrestling, period, needs a strong heel that you can just wave your middle finger at every time you see him on the screen, and Galloway is that type of guy.
His babyface mic work came across like a lot like a scripted WWE promo. It really played out, the bigger they come, the harder they fall. He just said such generic shit. That isn't the case now. This is really good work that he's doing. And again, just like you said, hope he keeps it going. He delivered that quick pile driver to Aaron Rex, laid him out flat. I like that. That was out of nowhere. He's obviously adding that pile driver to his repertoire if it wasn't part of it before. Then we get Decay backstage. This is a really, really great segment. And then he did I didn't take any notes beyond that, but on it, that was a great segment. They did a really, really good video package as well, recapping everything. And then we get Rosemary versus Reby. They kind of briefly mentioned this match was happening last week. We knew it was happening, but there was no graphic. There was no big deal that this was happening. And I know we kind of would have liked to see this at Bound for Glory instead of on Impact. We'll start with you on this one, Will. What were you thinking about the match?
I would have loved to have seen this match, Rosemary and Reby. I preferred it to be on the pay-per-view. It was what it evolved into was crazy. You saw everything. You saw the mist. I think it's one of the few times I've seen someone miss someone and then not end up in a pinfall right away. I'm really wonder. You know what, BQ? I wonder if they really dislike each other in real life, because they either really can't stand one another or they're just excellent workers. Because the blows, the techniques, they really look like they were trying to kill each other out there. And as a fan, there's a lot of men out here, a lot of male wrestlers on the roster who need to take notes at selling, at executing maneuvers, because these girls really put it on. They gave you a show tonight. And that twist of fate, which I say is she executes it better than anyone, including her husband. And it's his move. I enjoyed the match. I would have paid money for it.
I thought it was going to start off as a cat fight at first, which I really didn't want. I didn't want the hair throw.
Prepare the battlefield.
It started off a little basic, and then Reby started whipping out some of her moves. So what'd you think of the match, Kyle? Were you caught off guard by some of Reby's offense?
Man, I mean, it was a great match. Definitely a great way to, hype us up for the Great War, the Almighty Great War. Where do I start? I mean, I was impressed by both the ladies' performance in the match. I think this is the first time we've seen Rosemary in the ring. I could be wrong, though. Correct me if I am.
She had a match with Gail Kim a few months ago. That when Maria first took charge.
Was it on One Night Only, or was it on Impact?
It was on Impact. Maria first took charge of the division, and she was kind of like punishing bitches, and she put Gail Kim in a match with Rosemary. And then I think the next week is when they debuted Sienna, and I think she had a match with Gail Kim or Jade, but kind of besides the point. But no, she had one match.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
She's super tough.
Yeah, that totally slipped my mind.
I was hoping we were going to see the F5, because that's Rosemary's finisher, little miniature Brock Lesnar.
I really enjoyed the match. I'm sure everybody did. That little side effect Rosemary pulled out at the end of the match through the table. That was insane, man. You never see the ladies going at it like that in any other wrestling promotion on TV. Certainly wouldn't see the Divas on Raw doing that not at all. Got to check out the Knockouts division. I think TNA's done a good job with the Knockouts division so far this year. I mean, a little redundant with the Maria stuff. Maria's kind of taken away from some other talent like Jade and Sienna and stuff like that. But I think once this whole storyline wraps up with Maria and Gail Kim, we're going to see them move in a different direction with the Knockouts division, and I'm totally excited for it because they have some of the best female wrestlers in all of the sport, without a doubt.
It's pretty cool that we got 2 Knockouts matches tonight. And even a third one if you count the main event, which I don't. But we got 2 Knockouts matches, so that was really cool. As you mentioned, that side effect through the table was a great spot. It's nice to see someone like Reby, who hasn't really been in the ring a whole lot lately, take a spot like that, take a bump like that, I should say. It really added something to the feud. They've been building this up really nicely, and we get the Hardys and Decay fighting outside the arena. Matt is fucking up Abyss. Steve is fucking up Brother Nero. And then Matt gets electrocuted. I don't know if they're going to roll with that in any way. And Decay ends up leaving on top. So Decay's looking really strong, which kind of tells me the Hardys are probably going to pull out the win. There was a lot of corny music going on during this. But aside from that, I think it was well done. They're doing a great job with the feud. Then we get Mackenzie backstage. She didn't speak a whole lot, but she sounded a lot more natural than she has been sounding on the YouTube channel. It was Maria and Gail Kim. I didn't like when Maria said that this isn't a pro wrestling company, it's an entertainment company. Like, wrong company to be saying that shit. This is pro wrestling. This is TNA. Get your shit together. We get another backstage segment.
Wow, say how you really feel.
We get another backstage segment. This is Tyrus backstage. He's about to talk about Bound for Glory. Said he made some bad business decisions. I really hope they take... I don't mean Bound for Glory. He's talking about Bound for Gold. I really hope they take this match more seriously this year. Tyrus won it last year. There was a couple opportunities storyline-wise to have him cash in on his boss, and they didn't do it. And he ended up having a really forgettable match with Galloway that opened up Impact. Wasn't even the main event. Eli Drake walks up, basically saying he wants to hire him as a bodyguard. Kind of like Matt Hardy did. Kind of like EC3 did. Tyrus ain't about that life. Then we get EC3 backstage talking with his team. They put their hands in, do the whoa trouble. We had a lot of backstage segments to that. A lot. That was the last one, and then the main event happened. Kyle, I'm going to let you speak first on this one, on this main event. I really liked this match. I will get into my thoughts in a little bit because I'm very strongly opinionated on part of it. But what were your thoughts on the main event?
Oh, come on, man. It was great. I loved it. Everyone got the stuff in. What really made me laugh is when Gail Kim came out and Maria ran around the ring like she chased her, like cat and mouse type deal. I thought that was really funny. But it was a great match. A lot of good stuff in there. Got me excited for the Bound for Glory main event, and not just the main event. It got me excited for Bound for Glory as a whole. That's the point. So yeah, I enjoyed the match a lot. But BQ, you said you're strongly opinionated. I can't wait to hear what you got to say. So please, let us know what you're feeling.
Why were the women in this match? Why were they involved in this match? There was no reason for them to. At the top of the show, when Lashley is basically announcing his team, which we already said was kind of hokey the way it was being done, he responds, well, I've drafted Maria Kanellis-Bennett. Like, why would you pick the one female who has not wrestled once this year? And then EC3, I just so happen to have Gail Kim. Like, that part was just so, we're watching a fake wrestling program. That's how that felt. I don't understand why the women were involved in this match. If you were going to put them in the match, do something with them. It gave me this bad throwback to the Bound for Glory World Title Series where Dixie said, oh, the women are going to be involved in this. And then anytime there was a mixed match, it was an absolute joke.
DQ, you're going to get the feminist on us. You're going to get Marcy Jefferson and her girls like boycotting our show, going against the women like that.
No, I love the knockouts. It's just from a from a common sense standpoint, from why were they in the match if they weren't going to do anything? Now, I agree with you. It was kind of funny the way she chased her around, and then she tried to get her in the cage, and then she left. It became clear to me what was going to happen when Maria was coming down before Gail, and she was walking down slow. I said, I see what's going to happen. They are not going to mix it up in the ring at all.
Well, let me make a point, BQ. What I get out of it is that classic old school 80s, 70s style of the manager wouldn't get touched, and they would keep playing that up. And, you would buy the event to finally see him get his. You're going to buy Bound for Glory to finally see Maria get hers, if you know what I mean by that. They've been building up for so long, and Bound for Glory, you're finally going to see Maria get her ass kicked by Gail Kim. And boy, does she have a sweet ass.
I'm not allowed to comment on that, but I will comment on what you just said with the 80s manager thing. You're spot on with that. What were your thoughts on the main event?
Maria hasn't been touched.
Wonderful.
You know what, BQ? I agree with you. If you're going to have someone, in this case, as long as they've been having this feud, why put them in the match and they're not going to do anything just to run backstage? Keep them backstage. Didn't need to see it. To my opinion, it had taken away from what was going on in the ring. It was one of those type. I'll tell you one thing. TNA, they know how to put on a go-home show. They really do. There was a lot of hard-hitting action, of course. It built the tension. It built the desire to want to watch the pay-per-view. Like, I don't want to wait till Sunday. It made me want to say, okay, I wish this was on a Saturday so that I can just wake up the next day and do whatever I got to do, grill, whatever, have the food ready to sit down and watch 3 hours of some good wrestling for a change. There were some spots in there. Lashley, of course, looked strong. Everyone looked good. Would you all agree?
They did. They really did. This was a great match.
Can't wait for Bound for Glory. It's hyped me up.
We know you're excited. You already ordered the pay-per-view, so.
You're damn right I did. It's going down. I don't care what these dirt sheets are saying. It's going down.
I just really like the time that the match got. I mean, with the format, it's a long match because of the intervals, but it was just taken as a really, really serious match where everyone was really trying to hurt each other. Like, it came across like a fight. It was just the part with the knockouts with Maria and Gail coming in there. Like, why even? They did it because they were trying to combine the four top matches of the pay-per-view. They should have just went 3-on-3, and the match would have been fine. But What'd you guys think of this?
BQ,
Uh-huh.
BQ, they use the WWE formula. Let's get all these people in there, have them do all this stuff that they can. You, after having the thing with Mackenzie, who looked very nice, who was impeccably dressed. Fuchsia really is her color. You had that nice segment with Maria and Gail Kim. And I can tell you one thing, Gail know how to fill out a dress. Well, I figured, Cal, if BQ gonna make comments to get us, to get the National Organization of Women on us, I may as well stand in support of him and talk about how good Gail Kim and Mackenzie look in dresses and skirts. But if you're going to have,
good.
oh yeah, they look better than a honey glazed donut. But if you're going to have them, you had that segment. You did not need them, especially with how good the match was. You did not need to throw something else in there for me to focus on, so they can run around the ring and backstage and play spades afterwards. You didn't need to have that. But the match itself, this was a pay-per-view. This was a pay-per-view style match, pay-per-view quality match, and that's just my thoughts on that. I can't really hurl enough superlatives. I was thoroughly entertained by what we had witnessed.
The end of this match involved EC3 passing out. What were you thinking about this? I wasn't expecting that finish at all. That's one of those finishes where we've said this a couple times. The build to Bound for Glory was well done, but there were a lot of there were a lot of instances where it was really WWE-ish, and that's something I wasn't liking. And this is one of them. The challenger losing before the pay-per-view, which makes us feel like he's going to win at the pay-per-view. So, I don't know. What do you think about the finish, though? I personally thought Aaron Rex was going to take the loss.
I did also. Once again, you got a pay-per-view ending. You see a guy that passes out. That doesn't normally happen on a weekly show, does it?
This is Gail Kim's
No.
fault.
Kyle, how about you? I was really surprised. I'm like, okay, this is a curveball I wasn't ready for.
Yeah, definitely was a bit of a swerve. I don't like to use those terms, but didn't see it coming one bit, just like you guys.
So with this happening, Lashley has chosen a stipulation being a no holds barred match. So I guess this maybe levels the playing field out a little bit for EC3, knowing that he basically can do whatever it is he needs to do. I just hope it's not too much of a wrestling match. Me as an Impact zoner, I don't like the matches that leave the ring because depending on where you're sitting, you can't really see. You're not elevated above the ring unless you're sitting in the bleachers. So there's a lot of action that you miss if you're close to the ring. So
I don't like it, BQ. I'm gonna tell you why I don't like it. The Great War is pretty much going to be a no holds barred match. How many no hold barred matches are you going to have on one pay-per-view? You don't need two. Now, I think this is a misstep. The match is good enough. If you want to have a tense, taut match, then you don't need to have two no holds barred. Put them in a cage. Put them
Two
on
out of three falls. Something.
two, even better. Have a 2 out of 3 falls. Have an Iron Man match. There are so many different matches that you could have done. If you already have a tag no holds barred match, why are you going to have the world title bout be the same thing? You don't need it. Can we not do it? That's the only mistake. Only thing I'm not looking forward to. Yes, they're going to kill each other and beat the snot of one another. This may be a precursor to EC3. He's not going to take he'll lose, but he'll pass out, a la Steve Austin, and we'll talk about how great he is afterwards. But no, I don't like the stipulation when there are so many more things you can do. Hey, Kyle, how about this? Something both of us all three of us love old school. Why not just have a good old Texas strap match or something? You didn't need to do that.
Russian chain match.
Russian chain match. You could have done anything. Two no holds barred. I think it takes away from the pay-per-view. And the people
Absolutely.
out there who watch WWE, they're going to comment, see, this is why TNA sucks. Look what they've done. Oh, it was so WWE-ish. I don't want to see anything like that.
They definitely could have came up with something better for the main event. But either way, it's going to be a great match. I have high hopes. I've been waiting for this one for a while. And I don't know who you guys are rooting for, but I want to see EC3 take the win in this.
It's hard because EC3 is my favorite wrestler. I want Lashley to continue. I don't think EC3 needs to beat Lashley right now. I think the person who beats Lashley is going to be a big deal. I don't want them to waste that on EC3. I don't say waste it. I just mean I'd rather see more of an up-and-comer get that victory.
No, I respect your opinion.
You're just my assistant.
I want to ask you guys a question here real quick. This is kind of for our listeners to get to know us a little bit. Who are your favorite... This is such an elementary question I've never asked you guys. I want to know who your favorite wrestlers are in Impact. Your favorite male and your favorite knockout.
Ooh, that's
Favorite
tough.
knockout, Marty Bell. Marty Bell and her backside, because her butt counts as a separate person, so you got to mention both of them individually. But that's the favorite knockout, so I'll start there.
Vintage Will.
I asked this question just so Marty Bell's ass could get another cameo on this podcast.
No, come on, Will.
No, that's my favorite knockout. That's my favorite knockout for real. Favorite wrestler. Besides Marty Bell and her backside, I guess it's a different person. Probably wrestler, I would say. You know, that's a tough question. There are actually so many people to choose from. Sorry, I had a slight audio issue. Besides, Kyle, you go. I'm trying to think. There's so many people. I mean, I love EC3. I love.
Very tough question.
I love. We all can talk through it together. I love Eli Drake.
Yeah.
They
just got so many. They got a loaded roster. You know, that's such a tough question, BQ. I mean, for me, overall, I like so many guys on the roster. I mean, Lashley's doing like the best work of his career. I'd probably say, you know, it's hard for me to pick between EC3 and Eli Drake, but I guess I'd say my favorite male wrestler right now is Eli Drake, and my favorite knockout would be Jade. I love Jade. She's great.
Well, I'm an EC3 guy also. There's a guy, you know, Eli Drake, Eddie Edwards. Really, really like them. There's a handful of guys I really enjoy. But I'm kind of an EC3 guy. Knockout. Madison Rayne's probably my favorite. I could see that changing. I mean, Allie is really my favorite because she's my favorite on the indies, but since she's not a wrestler yet, I'm going to say Madison Rayne, but it's very possible between Allie or LVN that could change. If Rosemary wrestled more often, probably her, but yeah. For me, EC3 and Madison.
Good picks. Good picks.
I would say I'm probably in the same camp with EC3. Really love his moveset, love the finisher. I like the fact they protect his finisher. Lashley, you know what? I like Galloway. I like watching him in the ring. You really can't go wrong. But if I just had to go ahead and just pick one person now, it would be probably a tie between Eli Drake, Lashley, Galloway, and EC3. But I know you said pick one, but okay, EC3.
I'm actually really enjoying Aaron Rex too because I'm just enjoying him competing, watching him actually compete in a wrestling match. That's really been enjoyable for me. Like watching him in that cage tonight. He wasn't running around cutting jokes and doing comedy stuff, you know, like he's in there actually competing in a steel cage. And I'm just enjoying watching that side of him. So I'm really liking him a lot. All right, you guys got any other thoughts for tonight? Tomorrow's a big day. We're recording this right after Impact. This show will be released on Saturday, so by the time people are listening to this, I think they're going to have an idea what's going on with the company and the direction, and thoughts and prayers.
Absolutely. You know, to wrap it up for me, I just want to, you know, address the listeners and just say, you know, stay positive. We're all in this together. You know, we got to hope for the best. We got to, you know, stay optimistic and just have faith in Billy Corgan and hope that he can pick up the company and lead us into the future. Because like we've said, the ultimate worst nightmare, the worst case scenario would be those bastard McMahons coming and doing what they usually do, monopolizing the game and ruining wrestling for everybody. So that's the worst case scenario, and we just got to pray that that doesn't happen and Billy Corgan is able to take the company in a new direction. And if not Billy Corgan, then somebody else. But as long as TNA keeps moving, that's all that matters.
Hey, call Paul Heyman. Maybe Corgan can give a call to Paul Heyman. Get him in. Find many good wrestling minds you can who's mad at Dixie and get together and like, here, we want it. But we hope it works out. But as far as tonight's Impact, you saw, those that watched Impact, you saw the reason why we love this company, why wrestling needs this company. We just sit back and wait, see what happens. And BQ, are we doing a review show after the pay-per-view?
Hell yeah.
All right, so hopefully it turns into a pay-per-view review show. Hopefully it doesn't devolve into a review / funeral show. If it does, I'll be wearing black again like I'm Johnny Cash. And I hope that's not the case.
Yeah. I don't want to pour out a little liquor for TNA. I don't want to do that.
Well, yeah, I'm not pouring out any Welch's sparkling grape juice for TNA. I don't hope that's not the case. But I'm looking forward to it. I may buy the pay-per-view twice if it'll help go ahead and put money in their coffers. You know, it's type of that's how we roll over here. We may just buy it, order it twice. And I may be able to call up a few people and threaten to go ahead and order the pay-per-view. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to do my part as a TNA fan.
I spent $400 on tickets, so
yeah, you spent $400 on tickets and gas and hotel rooms and everything. So you are a loyal fan. You are definitely a loyal fan. See what the King of the Mountain podcast go through to give you public a good product. We have someone that's going to do some on location reporting. And BQ, when you get there, say hi to Marty Bell's butt for me, please.
I did talk to her at Slammiversary.
And you didn't put in the good word for Will? What kind of friend are you, BQ?
I don't think I was aware of Will's obsession at the time.
I've only mentioned her behind on every single podcast we've done for 6 months.
I like I said, Will, your next birthday, I'm sending you a Marty Bell shirt.
You know what? I want for Christmas. She actually sells autographed pictures of her and whatever.
Me and BQ are gonna get that for you for Christmas. We're gonna put that together for you.
Yes,
a signed autographed picture for you.
Yeah, as if I didn't love the Dominican Republic enough for all the baseball stars it produced. She gives me yet another reason to cheer for that country and go visit it on my next vacation.
You can't say no to some Dominican food, that's for sure.
Even though she's from New York.
In my defense, when she showed up at Slammiversary, she had not been on TV in a couple months. So I don't think she was covered on our podcast at the time. So.
Well, I still talked about her.
I guess so.
I did. Well, you know, it's because she has, her and Allie have the girl next door look. And that makes you want to cheer for the girls next door that have that appearance. And then I saw the picture that you had taken with her. She just looks innocent. Yeah, I've seen pictures of her online where she did not look so innocent. but yeah, TNA got to survive because she definitely wouldn't get picked up by WWE. There'd be no more Marty Bell or the thing that trails her behind. So all that would just go away.
I think Will's getting a little too excited and horny here.
No, I'm not getting excited. I'm being even keeled. I'm waiting to see. I'm waiting to hear about the news tomorrow because we know if Corgan buys TNA or someone else, if it gets sold to anyone other than anyone but Vince, if anyone but Vince gets it, we get to see more. We get to continue watching the knockouts. We get to see people get pushed. We get to see more of what TNA has done in 2016 because I think to get over this hurdle, nothing is worse than this. They survived this and get rid of Dixie Carter. You are going to see a close out to 16 that's going to be magnificent. 17 is going to be brilliant. And this company will probably be like Teflon. Nothing bad will stick to them. That's what I'm hoping for.
I would hate not having the opportunity to see the Allie character grow and flourish. So,
I would hate not doing this podcast with you guys. I love doing the podcast. You know,
we do the
we
podcast.
would be able to continue.
I mean, we continue. We just have to focus on something else. I don't know what we would cover. I don't even want to think of that far. But
Yeah, let's not even get into that. You know, because we're gonna just stay optimistic here. TNA is gonna make it through.
I mean, my Spanish is pretty good. We could cover AAA, CMLL.
Rocky Mountain Pro.
Hey.
I don't know if I didn't have a wrestling podcast. I was thinking about it. I think I would get into a DraftKings podcast.
Well, I already do a music podcast, a ministry podcast. I'm doing podcasts, and a record company want me to do a podcast. I do kind of, all those I look at it as work for the most part. The wrestling one I really enjoy. So we'd have to find somebody to cover. Oh, one thing that I forgot to mention that they're doing a lot more in TNA. When the Hardys and Decay had their thing backstage, wherever it was, the kick to the groin that Matt delivered on Abyss, didn't that just make you just want to just fold over and just get in the fetal position? Yeah, you're seeing a lot more groin kicks, a lot more low blows in wrestling this year.
Oh yeah, I squirmed at that one when he got kicked in the balls. I felt that.
Oh yeah. I wish the Bears Connor Barth actually could kick that accurately.
All right, with the dick joke, the nut joke, with that being said, thank you for listening to us another week. Hopefully this is not the last time you're listening to us. Don't forget to hit up TNAMecca.com. And we are now on Pro Wrestling Tees. So if you want to support the show and not really into the clicking on Amazon and link and things like that, ProWrestlingTees.com/KOTM_podcast, just like our Twitter handle. So we got 2 shirts up there. We just got on there. And it's a very prestigious thing to be a part of because they don't just let anyone onto there. You have to have X amount of followers on social media. And, we got a couple thousand on Twitter, getting ready to hit 2,100. And then what do you got on Daily Impact, Kyle? How many followers?
I'd say we're looking close to 3,000. Close to 3,000.
Yeah. So all you Instagrammers, man, the Daily Impact is the place to hang out.
All your TNA news, I'm always updating it. Just stay in the loop, stay in tune with us, people. We want to keep bringing you the best content that we can.
With that being said, we are signing off for this week. We will talk to you after Bound for Glory. King of the Mountain, out.